Well, I'm back on the bike, gonna putz with a little bit today, and I just wanted to kind of show you some things I got and what I'm working on. Went to the paint store and I got a pint of paint mixed to match. So the Escape was just, this was way more yellow than the Escape, so it would have looked funny with the fender in the Escape color with the white that's on the gas tank in here and the speedometer. And the tank has a few little chips on the edges that need a little touch up, as you can see. So this will touch them up, and he matched the paint on this so I can put this back on. Now can you see? I'll turn it real slowly. Can you see where he dabbed some of the paint on it to match it? I'll do a close-up of where the paint was dabbed on. And he just did it with his finger. And I'll clean it off because I'm not going to I'm not going to repaint this. But yeah, that's a good match. The paint dabbed on with his finger is all right in here. So yeah, good match, very happy with it. This is where I went, the GNC Paint Center, the one in Hazel Park. They're just a bunch of good guys there. They're really friendly. I really like them. Got several calendars. I've been to most every place in this. Well, I have been to every place in this calendar. There's nothing that I haven't. That's Ludington State Park, Lost Lake. I recognized it. And but yeah, it's kind of neat having the calendar from. And then he also gave me this one, which is full of cars, custom vehicle. Anyway, just kind of, I'm not going to go through everything in here, but you kind of get the picture. So we got a couple calendars, and that was only $35, believe it or not. I say only, it's a pint. Used to be able to get a gallon for $35 in the olden days, but I guess this isn't the olden days anymore. This is modern times, so they got to pay modern prices. So, you know, $35 for a gallon was probably the 90s or early 2000s. I remember when it was, I could buy a gallon of black acrylic enamel for $7 a gallon, and now it's like 120. But anyway, the exhaust nuts are supposed to be here tomorrow. These are just, I just set them there because I wanted to see how they look. I got to clean them up, but I think today I'm going to put that, now that I got the paint mixed, I'm going to reinstall this. The turn signals, front turn signals, are what holds that bucket on. This is what holds it on. So we're going to get those on, and I can touch up any. This just needs a lot of cleaning, but there is like a little paint neck, a couple little paint necks. And another thing I'm going to do, I don't like this thing for the ignition switch. I just don't like it. And it's beat up looking, and it just kind of is ugly on here. Doesn't really fit the bike. So I'm going to get the originally the ignition switch was right here. So that little thing with the hole is where the little thing bolts to that holds the ignition. So I'm going to see if I can hunt one of them up and put the ignition switch back down there. I just don't like it in front of the, you know, and that all looks pretty clean. Then you look at this. You know, it's got pits. I haven't really cleaned this up that much, a little bit, but the ignition switch, this needs cleaning up pretty badly too. I'll probably take and clean that up on the buffer once I get it out of there. But yeah, I'm going to try and eliminate this stupid bracket thing. I just don't like it. And these I got to start cleaning up. I think this assembly, once I clean it up, I'll paint this color right here. I think that'll look good on the, because that's kind of what it is now. It is painted, it's not. I think this part was polished. this and this is painted. I'm just going to paint it all and polish the bolts, paint that little thing there. This is the junction block. So the hydraulic line here I'll get new, and that'll still be the same length. This is the hydraulic line here that I gotta get longer for the, because, you know, master cylinder is going to be, instead of here, it's going to be up, you know, up here instead of here. So it's going to make a difference on where that goes. But, and the tank's just sitting on there so I can pop it off to work on wiring and or whatever I need to do. And, you know, it's not permanently attached, but I think I'm going to get the headlight bucket on, get the wires to that, and get this off and buff it, put the gaskets on the engine. And then this is these videos sometimes are 4 or 5 days long, and this is the Monday before Christmas, so this video will be up after Christmas. And so I'm just thinking maybe tomorrow being Christmas Eve, I'll have time tomorrow. I've been going to Christmas parties and dinner with friends and, you know, just doing a lot. So I haven't been spending the time I want to on the bike. I try and work on it 3 or 4 hours every day, try and putz with it. I like doing this kind of stuff, you know. This is my hobby, is making chicken salad out of chicken crap. You know, this was a pretty beat down estate sale bike that I rescued. It probably, if I didn't buy this bike, it probably would have went to the scrapyard. And you know, it looked pretty hideous, didn't run, you know, nothing worked on it. It just it would have ended up in the scrapyard had I not purchased it. So we're saving a bike from the scrapyard. And for you original connoisseurs, you know, I am kind of with the old cars, so I appreciate where you're coming from when you give me the business over the custom paint job and stuff. That was on the bike since '72. This bike was customized when it was new, according to the person I talked to. That was I don't know if she was the executor of the estate or not, but she was I guess the daughter of the guy that owned the bike. But anyway, I'm starting to ramble and I shouldn't. So let me get to work here and get the headlight bucket on, and maybe, like I say, once I get that cover buffed, I think I'll do the pipes after that cover, because those chrome castle nuts will be here today. And then I can put that and the foot pegs, and the foot pegs are still hanging here. They're paint on them where I hung them to dry. And really, the handlebars, which I got to get the controls off of and the wire out, which I might do yet today. And this is the extent of what's left. That's a headlight. Those are the exhaust flanges, kickstarter, shift lever. I got to polish that cover before the kickstarter goes on, and I got to get a chain before the shift lever goes on. That, you know, there's 2 master links in a row. And then there's another one here, so actually 3 master links in a row. Who would do that? You know, I mean, that just, to me, doesn't make sense. I want to put a new chain on it. So I'm going to order, and this is just a standard chain, so you got to lubricate these to keep them working. See how they get rusty down in there and stuff? Where they pivot? The O-ring chains have little O-rings here, and it keeps the grease in there so they don't dry out and they don't make a mess on your wheel and on your control arm, swing arm, and your chain guard and all that good stuff. It keeps it all clean. You just spray WD-40 on them once in a while, wipe them off the rag so it doesn't get everywhere. But yeah, it certainly looks different now than what it did when I purchased it. You go back and look at the first videos, you know, how this was all stained and crummy, and this was kind of really hideous. And yeah, it's come a long ways. I'm going to clean the seat up and do something with vinyl, get that looking a little nicer, closer to when I'm, you know, finished with the, that might be the last thing I do, because I don't want to clean it and then get dirt on it. So we'll clean it last. All right, let me get to the headlight. I've been yapping here for about 10 minutes. Let's get to the headlight. There we go, starting to get some more together. Yeah, that looks better with the crummy chrome under and the good stuff above. So I was able to turn these a little bit to where I got the best chrome up. And then I rotated these until I got the best chrome up. And this would be normally this side, and this would be normally that side. The difference being the wiring. The color on this signal here, which would be that one, is light blue. So I just plugged the light blue into the orange. And on this side, the wiring was light blue originally, which is now orange because it's from this side. So I just plugged the orange into the light blue. This wire goes to the indicator on the instruments, and this goes to that, you know, the indicator up here. I think that's the turn. That's where I put the bulb anyway, in that hole. And then this will be the high beam. This will go into the headlight harness once, you know, I get ready to put the harness in, because there's no steady blue here. That comes from this harness. Here's the steady blue. And it also goes to the little connector that goes into the headlight. So then you have, so I hooked the turn signals up to the harness, and then I hooked up the idiot lights. I think that is the, I think that's the neutral light, and that's oil pressure light. And all this here will go to the handlebars for the switches and controls, into the headlight. One of these will be actually power the headlight. The wiring on these bikes is really super simple and very cut and dry. There's no, it's what it is. It's just simple, cut and dry. You just match up the colors and plug connectors in and they work. This is the headlight. That's for that blue for the indicator. And the blue from the handlebar will both plug into here for the headlight, and then the headlight will work. That switch is powered from other color wires there in the harness, and I'll show you when I get to it. But really, if you need to know the wiring diagram, just look it up. They're pretty simple to read, the schematics. And we have the wiring for the gauges, but I'm thinking what I need to do is take that bracket off and clean it and paint it. And I'm going to paint that gloss black acrylic enamel, because that looks like it was originally gloss black. And I got a lot of cleaning and buffing to do on these parts too, and a couple little paint touch-ups. No big deal. But let me, I'm going to get this apart right now so I can blast it and hopefully get it painted. They're predicting a few inches of snow starting later this afternoon, and it would be nice to get a coat of at least primer, if not paint, on it before the snow starts coming down. This is ready for the blast cabinet, and I got more goodies here to buff. Lovely, right? Yeah, I've been married to that buffer. Buff these up too. These were originally shiny. You can kind of see it on the back side of this one, but we'll get those buffed up too, and these, we'll get these off so we can buff them. Clean these up and lubricate the shaft in both the tack and the speedometer. I think this is the speedo. No, this is the tack. And this would obviously be the speedo. I don't think I'm not going to repaint them. I'm just, like I say, there's two nicks, one each. I think they each have one nick, or one has two. Anyway, we got paint so we can touch them up. All right, let me get this in the blast cabinet, get my air turned on to it, and we'll get this cleaned up. Yeah, the glassine film here is getting a little blasted from back blast, but they last quite a while. I change it maybe, I don't know, not real often, but I guess I need to, it's just held on there with like a two-sided tape around the edge, and easy to change. Inexpensive. I usually buy them in packs of 25, and you know, it's nice when you can see clearly in your glass camera. There's a run in the paint there. You can tell, you know, they didn't put a lot of care into the paint back then, because even the frame, a lot of runs were in the paint because they take longer to blast out. You know, it's just way thicker. And you can clearly, like when you're blasting, you can clearly see the runs, like when you blast stuff off like that. And you have a run, you can clearly, it's kind of fun when you blast it to see the runs in the factory paint, in fact. Anyway, I'll get these cleaned up, or this cleaned up, and get it primed, let the primer dry a short while, and we'll blow some acrylic enamel on it. Sorry, air compressor turned on, so I'll stop videoing here. That is just primed. It's going to have to wait to get painted. It's like snowy, sleety. It's messy outside. When I talk about that outside, outdoors is my spray booth. I don't like painting in the garage. I got to cover everything up. I just stood in the door there inside the garage and sprayed that facing out, and I can't do that with my door jam gun. I'll have a mess, but I'm going to go through everything here less these, because these need some body work done on them before I paint those. But I don't think there's anything else on this bike that needs to be gloss black, but I'm going to go through, you know, I mean, they're really, we got the covers, the things for the exhaust, that's for the brake light switch, some cables, disc brake stuff, chain, mirrors, oil for the engine, gaskets for the engine. That's XL250 stuff there. That bike's gonna, this bike's gonna be next. This will be in the 2025 project. Yeah, it's gonna, or should I call it Project 2025, is sitting right there. We're gonna go through and make that look like brand new, and all original. I'm doing this bike, it's all original right now. It had 1,727 miles on it when I purchased it, if you're new to my videos. So I reset the trip meter. So I put 800 miles and 1/10 on it, because I rode it around the driveway a few times and up and down the street once before I reset that when I first got it running. It wouldn't shift into second. And it turned out it was just a bent shift. Somebody, when they dumped it, you know, I think that it bent this in, and it was hitting the engine right here when you pull it up to shift gears. It bent it out, and it took care of it. Because the previous owner, like I said on this bike, he wasn't a real big guy. And it was just too heavy for him, and he was up in the years, and he never rode it. He bought it for his daughter for their cottage up in Atlanta, Michigan. She wiped out on it, so she didn't ride it, and then he wiped out on it, and then it just kind of sat around with occasional use, and finally he just decided it's time to part with it. So that's how I ended up with that bike, and I'll talk more about it when I tear into it. And this, obviously, my estate sale bike. But anyway, I'm going to go through and see if I have anything else that needs to be gloss black. Seeing it's snowing in my spray booth, I figure I might as well do something. I just have some time to putz around today, and this is the kind of stuff I enjoy. So I'm not going to bore you guys. I'm just going to be taking two nuts off. I'm going to take this bezel, these bezels over to the buffer. Obviously, I'll take the rubber grommet out. These rubber grommets will have to come out. I'm going to buff these. I'm going to buff the back of these. I'm going to buff these. And I'm not going to bore you with standing there at the buffer buffing parts. I'm just going to crank the radio up and enjoy myself while I putz around in the garage here. So let me get those apart and start buffing. Check this out. These are the chrome nuts for the exhaust, and it even came with new seals for the exhaust. I was just going to reuse the new or the original ones, but you know, hey, if it comes with them, why not use them? And I got two packages, obviously, as it's a 4-cylinder, but I put two of them on the engine just to get an idea of what they look like. That's going to look nice. And I'm going to get stainless lock washers and buff them up like the chrome. Those are just the lock washers. You know, I had the regular nut on there, but I just thought, you know, I'd put one set of nuts on so you can kind of see what it's going to look like. These are just, you know, I haven't put there's none of the stuff that holds them into the ports, and, you know, at least because I got to polish, clean all this discoloration off and polish all the exhaust up. Both sides are just kind of set in here, you know. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of put the nuts on there and kind of give you an idea. It's going to look nice. It'll be a good looking bike when it's done. Well, it's not raining in the spray booth today. This is Christmas Eve, so belated Merry Christmas, because this video will be after Christmas. But that's what the speedometer and tachometer go on right here. That mounts right here, and then and these, which I wanted to take apart, I've struggled to get these undone, and I don't want to break them, and I just fear that I'm going to bust them if I work at them. Hopefully a bulb doesn't burn out in them. But this one, the crummiest one of the lot, came right undone. I can't get these ones undone. I might bust with them a little bit more. I don't want to put penetrant on them because I don't want to swell that rubber up, so, or destroy it. So I'm just going to sit here and horse with a little bit. Another thing I did was, I didn't like the ignition switch up here. I didn't like that thing with the flip up and whatnot. So I took it apart, took the ignition switch off, the little cap things right here, it's supposed to have a rubber seal in there anyway on this, so it doesn't allow water in the ignition when it's closed. This is all aftermarket. Anyway, I'm not going to use that either. So I bent this. I was looking for the correct bracket that the ignition switch mounts right here originally. And you think I can find one? I've been searching for one almost since, you know, shortly before I tore the bike apart. So I took this and bent it, and first I lined it up with the bolt hole. Or the original one has a little tab that bends around to keep it from turning, but this will do until I can get an original one. Then I can bolt the ignition switch there. And I'm just going to paint that satin black Rust-Oleum, or maybe flat, I don't know, probably satin. And then I'm going to buff the ignition, this part out a little bit so it looks a little nicer. It's pretty beat down looking, but I think it'll be better with the ignition switch down here instead of this ugly thing up here that detracted from the looks of the bike here. I want it to have a nice clean look, so that's why I'm doing this. I'm ending up doing a multitude of things here. So these, I only painted a little bit of flat black in, and it kind of looked crummy, so I took this back off and I painted the whole back side of that flat black on both sides, and it looks much better, don't you think? I do anyway. And I got the controls off the handlebars. Handlebars are right here, so you can kind of see what I got to drill. So I'll just have to kind of figure out where I want them and then mark them the right distance in. You know, when I say where I want them, you know, twisted wise. And I just sold, guy was here, that's why he wanted to check the Bel Air out. Anyway, I sold that 4-barrel Rochester 4-jet in the intake that's been there for ever and a day. And so I just had the car uncovered here, just as he wanted to see it a little bit, and that way I can check on the battery maintainer, make sure it's all working good and everything's good under the hood of the Bel Air, which it is. And here's the one control. And the button, I can take the button out, the tip, just the plastic's broken. I can see, might be able to make a new piece for there. But the horn button is exactly the same plastic bit that the starter button uses. So maybe I'll see if I have one of these around somewhere that has a horn button in it. I can rob that plastic out of her, find a used one or something, and fix the starter button, because I'd like to continue to use these. And another thing too, this knob right here, it just kind of binds down on the throttle and makes it a little stiffer. Well, Somebody had told me what that's for because I didn't know what that was for. Apparently these are very cold-blooded. They like to warm up. They don't idle well until they're warm. And that's so you can turn that screw in and turn your throttle up, give it like a fast idle. You just turn it a little bit just to make it so the springs can't pull it back real easy. And then you can just boost your idle to allow the engine to warm up, which I thought was kind of interesting. And so anyway, we're gonna just get to finishing up here. Oh, and also the ignition switch. I hated that bracket thing that was mounted up here. It just looked bad. It got in the way of this and just didn't look good there. Did not like this there. This thing was all pitted up. The thing that it was mounted on. This is just a weather seal. These are about $12 brand new and they're still available. But you can see the rubber's gone. Completely deteriorated and the chrome's peeled. But I'm not going to use that. I took the original little bit and bent it, and it fits right in here. So I'm going to put the ignition back where it was stock. And I have not been able to find that correct piece that goes there, though I did find a guy that's on eBay that's selling the ignition switch with that, the seat lock and the steering lock, and he wants like $70, which I'm not. No. Something that's worth maybe $10, no. So I did email him and asked him if he had just that metal piece. So we'll see if I hear back from him, and if he does, we'll get it and put it on, and then I won't use that. But yeah, I thought that would look better black than chrome. It's actually the dull black, so satin black's just not dry yet. And this over here should be dry to the touch now. So maybe not. No, it's still just slightly tacky. Those are the little rubber things that the wiring goes under. So let that dry. We'll let it dry until we'll call Christmas Day. I won't come out here and do anything, but I want to buff. I want to buff that cover so I can put the oil back in the motor and put the new gaskets and stuff on. So. And then I'm going to work on the exhaust, and I got to work on the handlebars. I got a lot of work to do yet before this thing's ready to go down the road. So I guess I'd better show you what I've been doing. I touched up the paint on the headlight bucket and the gas tank where those chips were. There's chipped quite a bit around the edges up here towards the top, including a big one right there. Anyway, they look a bit better. And I polished the side cover to the engine better. Looks pretty nice. I put the note up here though. I still haven't put the oil in the engine, but I was buffing up the straight pipes, getting that discoloration off of them, so you can see it just doesn't take a lot of effort. Let me see if I can video this. Yeah, I have a tripod, but it gets in the way. There isn't a really good spot to set it here. But you can see it cleans that. Cleans this pipe up pretty quick. I need to put some more polish on the wheel. And you see it definitely cleans that discoloration off. So anyway, I'm going to buff up pipes so I can install them correctly, get them out of my way so I'm not tripping on them and buggering them up more than they are. They still have, they're not perfect. They have some little imperfections in them. You know, like I say, the chrome is rough on this bike, but I think they're going to clean up pretty nice. I'll show you when I get it done. Okay, and before on the pipes, I'm cleaning them up right now, so I'm just showing you what they look like. This is the right side set of pipes, and the left side I already polished up. As you saw, I was polishing the one, but this was the one that was really blue, and that cleaned up nice. Pipes look good. Put the foot peg on because the foot peg goes on before the pipes, and I put the kickstarter on. So everything's starting to go together. I'm going to work on the other pipes, and then I'm going to, who knows what I'm going to do next, maybe work on the handles. You can see the chrome nuts that I put on too, and I painted those things that I painted that are hold the pipe in the port, which is these things. So those are the remaining two pipes. I'll put them on, and then I put these exhaust gaskets. I put the new ones in. You can see the old ones were pretty hammered in, you know. I mean, you tighten them up, it kind of smushes them in, and that's how it seals. So yeah, new ones of those too. There we be. The pipes are on, they're mounted. New seals on the head or at the port. Yeah, everything looks really nice. There is, you know, this pipe has some chrome issues right down in there, but it doesn't look bad. And I gotta do something, repaint the side covers, but I think next is going to be the handlebars. I'm going to tackle getting the controls and got everything out of that handlebar and sitting here. Might have up in the attic something that I can rob some plastic for a starter button there. We'll see. Anyway, we're still got a bench full of parts here to work on, but like I say, I think next we'll get the controls, handlebars, and all that stuff done up. Just kind of wanted to show you how it looked. Looks nice without the purple all over the exhaust. And I filled the crankcase with oil too. Put the new gaskets on and whatnot. And I haven't put the gasket on the points yet. I don't know if I'm going to have to put new points in, or they make an electronic kit that goes in there. It'll work with these coils. So who knows, may end up doing that. If I have to put points in it, wouldn't be that much more. But yeah, that looks nice with those castle nuts and the black and the chrome. So I'll get the handlebars done up next, I think, and then we'll tackle the fender, bump that out and get it cleaned up and paint that. And I got to straighten this. And I'll get this back on. Then all I have to do is get the hoses, paint this mess for the brakes up. And like I say, there's probably another solid week of work left here to finish this bike up. But it's moving along pretty good. It's made major headway, don't you think? I do. That is it for this video. I think I'll end it here if there's enough video to make it worthwhile making one. So if you liked my video, definitely hit that thumbs up icon. It helps me out. Helps make me a little bit more money I can dump into my little projects here. And that 348 engine icon that pops up that powers my 59 Chevy will subscribe you. And thank you for watching my video.